Welcome to the show, Greg Stewart. Have a seat. It's good to see you.
Oh, I feel warm.
It's not that warm.
I feel warm.
Okay.
I feel like I'm sweating.
All right. Well,
That's
you
just
look
me.
like you're sweating profusely, but other than that, not so much.
Thank you.
Get your earballs ready. Welcome to the Greg and Tim Show podcast. Take time to sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Here are your hosts, Greg and Tim.
I'm so glad that we're at the table setting.
Are we going to introduce the show?
Welcome to the Greg and Tim Show, the show
The Greg and Tim
we
show.
are at the part of the show
where Greg interrupts Tim.
where we are at the table, so it's fantastic. I don't have to wear pants.
That's correct. You're not wearing pants. You're not even wearing shorts.
I'm not wearing shorts.
Well, it is 32 degrees outside today, so let those puppies air.
Oh, I was working outside today. It is warm. Stay out of the sun. It's fine if you stay out of the sun.
If you stay out of the sun, it's
Drink
fine.
lots of water, kids, and stay out of the sun.
And adults.
And adults. It's supposed to be warm. This summer started. It only took until the second week of July.
First week of July.
First week of July.
It started a couple days ago.
All right.
And well, now it's Monday.
Yeah.
Monday.
It is Monday. It doesn't feel like Monday, but it is
No,
Monday indeed.
It feels like Thursday.
It feels like Thursday. It's got that Thursday.
It feels like summer. Do, do, do. You know that song?
No.
Feels like summer?
Sing the entire song.
I
for me.
don't know any words to the song
Okay.
other than it feels like summer. I think it's Childish Gambino.
Oh, well.
No, not today. Not doing it to me today.
Here's the video.
We already
Right here.
we already have enough clips for me to add. By the end
This
of this
is-
video, you the viewer right now listening, the listener, viewer, whatever you are,
Yeah.
if you're listening, switch to the video format,
Yeah.
like on YouTube or video on Spotify. Sorry if you're watching on listening on Apple, you got to stay with the audio format. But when we talk about some things, we're going to show off some video,
Yeah.
and Tim's going to get me to show a lot of video.
Greg
today.
does not want to edit. Last week he had a couple of episodes to edit in a short time frame, and
I did it.
He did it, and still was able to do
Hi-yo.
his regular work, which was impressive.
Well, I edited it at night,
yeah,
very, very late at night.
yeah. He'd send me messages, and it was like a.
Oh, I told you.
1:47. You weren't kidding. 2:00.
Yeah, I told you that you would be getting them at night.
And a couple weeks ago, I was waking up every couple hours, so I'd periodically get them.
Yeah, you had a UTI?
UTI. No, I did not.
No.
I have a
TD.
SN. I had a stuffy
Nose.
nose.
Hey, we're already finishing each other's sentences.
That's right, yeah. But luckily, a week ago, I had no sleep. So for one night,
Well, welcome to the show, Tim.
welcome to the show.
As you can see, we're wearing shirts that are matching today.
That's right. And what do they say? They say the Greg and Tim show.
And they got a picture of me playing basketball, which I don't do, and you playing football, which you can't do.
And the favorite part that you love about this shirt is
Is-
that you have an idea and I have squiggly nothings.
And I didn't even make the shirt.
Yeah, that was... so the shirt was
Here-
made by my daughter,
Yeah.
Avery. Shout out Avery.
Avery
Sanderson.
Sanderson. Can we say last names?
Oops, we already did. Did we bleep it out? We could.
No, I didn't bleep it out.
Avery.
I forgot.
Yeah, you forgot. This is you can edit
I
this.
forgot to hit the bleep button.
And your face actually doesn't look that bad. You said you had a weird looking face that she made. That's
Yeah,
not
it's
bad.
the bottom part of my chin here. It looks like I got what did I say? It looks like I got like some kind of like growth
He grout.
right here.
No, he's not grout.
Gout.
Grout's the thing that's
I
inside the
don't think I
tiles.
can but your chin is the opposite. Yours goes in. So maybe I'm just fat.
And I have no facial hair in there.
And you have no well, it looks like you have a 5 o'clock shadow.
Ah, yeah.
It actually looks like a shadow. It doesn't look like facial hair. It looks like a shadow on your face. But yeah, you have facial hair still. So congratulations for not shaving it yet, even in this heat.
I have. It's not actually that hot. I don't find the beard hot.
No.
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 And actually, you're right. This is the first time I've experienced a beard in the heat. I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah.
That's how little.
You think of it.
Yeah, and as you know, I paint houses, and this week we're painting houses outside, and it was 32 today. It's above 30 all week, but stay in the shade. You're
Yeah.
fine. Just don't stay in the sun like for extended periods of time.
Without water.
Yeah, I drink a ton of water.
The
during
back
day.
of our shirts have
Guzzle water.
pictures of our wives and us on them.
Oh,
The
it's right
shirt-
there.
The shirt.
Right there.
Yeah, so
Wow.
on the shirt, there's a picture of Tammy,
That's my wife.
Timothy,
That's me.
Gregory,
That's you.
and Lorraine.
Your wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your daughter also made the back of the shirt.
Yeah. So I about a couple months ago we planned a surprise trip for you and
Yeah.
did not tell you what it was.
I had no clue.
And for your birthday. So on your birthday, I said I'm going to get your birthday present later. And
I just thought you forgot.
no.
I honestly, I was like, he said he's gonna give me a birthday present later, and then I'm like, nah, whatever.
So and that was the one thing I was
'Cause
worried.
I know that you're not like a very good gift giver.
I was worried that
Yeah.
you put two and two together because Lorraine also said your birthday present was going to be later. And I was
Yeah.
worried that you'd put the two and two together and think that we were in cahoots, which we were.
You were in cahoots.
Yeah. So Lorraine and I,
Not cahoots, Alberta.
or cahoots the game.
The game in cahoots.
Yeah.
You guys were in cahoots. I did not know anything about it. I honestly didn't think I was getting anything from either of you.
Well, your wife wouldn't get you something
I didn't get her anything, so
for her birthday?
yeah, I got her like experiences, but I didn't get her like physical things. So when she says your birthday present's coming later, I just assumed that she ordered
kind of
something that took
experiences?
longer.
Experiences.
Yeah, like dinner and like
Oh, okay.
that kind of stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we did something that was after your birthday. Your birthday's in June 8th or something, right?
Ninth.
June 9th.
Yeah.
Sorry. So we planned a trip.
Yours is in January,
Yeah.
February something.
Well, which one? Final answer?
February something.
Yeah. And so
February 6th?
close, 21st.
Oh, not even close.
Yeah, not too close.
I think it's because we recorded that episode and it was so early and I totally forgot. You were gone when your birthday was on.
So anyway,
I remember it now, the 21st of February.
No, well, I just told you, but whatever. So we planned
That was an
your
angry
birthday
face.
trip, and it was a ton of fun. We went on a Wednesday after work, and
4 o'clock on a
and
Wednesday.
you were told absolutely nothing. Other
Zero
than
things.
Get the flip in the vehicle, and
I
you
don't think she
didn't
said
know
it that way, but she did say just get in the vehicle.
anything. Yeah, I added the flip,
Yeah.
and we didn't tell you where you were going, so you had no idea exactly how long you were going, how far you were going, and you were pretty sure we were going to Minneapolis. Then we passed Minneapolis, and I said you might want to get some sleep. And
Well,
then
we didn't
you're
even pass Minneapolis.
and then-
We got to Rogers, and
Yeah.
at gas at Rogers, you were like, "Hey, Greg, I want you to know you should get some
I
sleep
need you to just get some sleep and shut up, please.
because I need you to be available for tomorrow."
yes,
When I thought we were going to war.
yeah, war and Minneapolis, and then we passed the Wisconsin Dells.
We
It
passed
was there.
Wisconsin, yeah.
Good gas station there, and then finally, as we got closer, to
We ended up in
Chi-Town, Chicago, Illinois,
Chi.
and
Town.
we went for breakfast first thing. No sleep.
No sleep whatsoever.
I think.
Well,
I
we
think
got
you got
there.
a little bit of
Well,
sleep.
let's-
Lorraine got a little
let's-
bit of sleep. Tammy got a
I
little
didn't
bit
get
of sleep.
any sleep on
Oh,
the
I think
entire
you
trip.
got a little bit of sleep.
I got maybe a couple snores, but
Yeah.
when we got there, you said we're going to get there. I already talked to the Airbnb guy.
Which
we're
I
going to
did.
get in. We're going to get in at 6. He said we can probably get in for 7. We can get about 3 hours of sleep because we're going to the baseball game.
1:10 p.m. game.
We wanted to get
Wrigley,
there
the Cubs
early.
were playing.
Nobody
The
had slept
Phillies-
yet.
Gonna have a nice 3 hours of sleep, and after breakfast, and we didn't hear back from the Airbnb guy. He's like, "Oh,
At all.
I forgot."
He forgot we were coming.
So around 12:30, he's like,
Shout
"Oh,
out to Dave.
Dave."
Dave, our Airbnb guy. We'll send this episode to him.
We're like saying he forgot.
Did he forget?
Well, yeah,
He didn't answer the door.
yeah,
Sorry, Dave. Like, we're throwing you under the bus right now, but
yeah.
he didn't answer the door.
But apparently, he's the best real estate / online mogul in all of Chicago. So
All of Chi-Town.
will that make up for saying he totally forgot?
Yeah, shout out to his realty business.
Yeah, it's right-
Dave's realty business.
Right there. It's right here.
No, it's not.
No.
I don't know what it is. So how can I do that?
Because
Dave's realty
we
business.
can text him, and he gave it to me.
Maybe he'll sponsor the show. Our
Yeah.
realty friends won't. Maybe the ones in Chicago will.
Yeah, /1 real estate agent. And so the long and short of it is we had no sleep and we basically went for breakfast. But the nice
We
thing was,
found an awesome breakfast place.
yeah, Brothers Breakfast,
Brothers Cafe?
Brothers Cafe, something like that.
Brothers.
In
Brothers.
it's right here anyway, in front of us, and but it was right close to where we were.
The
staying.
waitress loved me.
But it was a whole family.
Yeah.
Where he owned it with his wife, his sister, his son.
Son was out front.
Uncle. It was great.
Yeah.
Awesome food. I don't think I've had as big an omelet in my entire life.
Your omelet was a 3-egg omelet.
No, it was a 4-egg omelet.
Or a 4-egg omelet. It looked like it was a 12-egg omelet.
Yeah.
Like it looked huge. The guy that made it was the owner, right?
Yeah.
And he made an awesome omelet for you. I didn't get to try it.
Yeah.
I tried the breakfast sandwich there, which was fantastic. So Brothers, go to Brothers.
It was one of those places that it didn't matter what you ordered. It was all going to be good.
Yeah. There's a lot of Mexican breakfast foods too. Yeah. So
chorizo, which some people can't, stomach. But
chorizo?
Chorizo. I think it's chorizo.
It's chorizo. It's chorizo. There's no T in it.
I think it's still chorizo.
It's chorizo.
I think it's chorizo. If anybody out there,
rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
All right, won.
Anyway, the first time you've won something.
Well, you too.
Yeah,
we're all
I lost
over everything, and then we went from there. So we did end up going basically straight without any sleep.
We went from there. No, we went to the Bean.
Yeah, we went to the Bean.
We went for breakfast. Then we went to the Bean. It's called the
Cloud Diners. Cloudgate.
Cloudgate.
Yeah.
Cloudgate, and it's supposed to be a drop of mercury.
Right.
Mercury. So it was very cool. If you're going, so we went for breakfast at 6 a.m.
We did.
Like that place had just opened up. We were the first ones in there.
Yeah.
We finished breakfast just before 7, and then we're like, well, let's go back to the Airbnb and try. No answer again.
Knocked on the door.
Dave. 0 for 2.
Yeah.
Then we went to the Bean. You're like, well, let's just go to the Bean.
Yeah.
It's early. Let's see if we can get to the Bean.
In the middle of the park, the Millennium Park.
Yeah. And we went to see the Bean, and the coolest part. So sorry, like anybody that's listening to this podcast, this isn't a regular podcast. Yep. This podcast, we're going to talk about this trip a little bit because we want to give you some tips and tricks to get into Chicago, or not get into Chicago, but to travel around Chicago and what to do around Chicago. Because we had such a good time. I had such a good time.
Yeah.
You've been there before. Yeah. You probably didn't have a great time. I had an amazing time. You had an okay time. But
okay. I had an okay time.
How good was your time?
It was awesome.
Okay.
I love Chicago.
So we're going to talk about the trip a little bit during the episode here. And then we've got a topic of the day still.
Yeah.
So if you are wanting the topic of the day, you can just click the little link.
Yeah. If you're like, why would these guys just shut up about Chicago? And we want to just fast forward through it.
Yeah. Just click on
it can go
chapter.
Like completely fast.
Or you can listen to us at 1.5, 2 times.
Yeah. Or 0.5.
0.5. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment. Comments are the fuel of Tim's life.
Before we talk about Wrigley, which was the first time you went, which is awesome.
I wasn't even going to talk about Wrigley. I was going to talk about the Bean.
Yeah. Well, before we talk about any of that, don't forget, we at 3:30 in the morning, driving through Wisconsin.
Right.
At 11 miles an hour, I get stopped by...
No, you weren't doing 11 miles an hour.
11, 81 and a 70.
You were doing 81 miles an hour, not 11.
11 over. I was going
11 over.
81 and a 70. I've never gotten caught for going that. Like, you can go 15 over any state you want, and they pulled me over.
I have to admit, though, that state trooper was probably one of the nicest police officers at 3:30 in the morning that I've ever met.
Right. How many police officers have you met at 3:30 in the morning?
Not many.
The one police officer I met at 3:30 in the morning.
I've met others.
Was the nicest.
I've met other police officers.
There was two. I never saw the one on my
Two?
There was two of them.
They were wearing tutus?
You told me there was one on my side. I never saw
there wasn't one on your side. There was one on my side.
Okay.
At my window and one at your wife's window in the front. But they were super nice. And I think you got pulled over. It was July 3rd. So it was like...
4th. It was the 4th.
Well,
3:30 in the morning was the
3:30 in the morning was the 4th. It was the night of July 3rd.
Yeah.
So everybody's out probably partying for July 4th because the next day is a day off. And it's 3:30 in the morning. And we're just a rinky-dinky car driving down the highway in Wisconsin.
We would have got there at 5:30 in the morning if we hadn't got pulled over.
Yeah, we did lose a half an hour.
It was almost good that we got.
We would have got there at 5 in the morning if you were doing 90.
90? No, not 5. I can't. I was making good time, but I'm not going to cut another half an hour out.
At 90 miles an hour over the next 4.5 hours?
Going 9 more over? No. I'm not making half an hour from there, from Wisconsin.
Well,
and you know what the funny thing is?
80,
I've gotten caught in those states, North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois. 4 of the 5 times I've gotten stopped by cops have been in Wisconsin.
The Scotties.
Yeah.
They love their cheese.
I can just blow by. I know exactly the speed to go right by police officers. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I've calculated, and I've done that trip enough times.
Yeah.
I know. Wisconsin, they love pulling you over. They're almost like they're bored.
Yeah, probably.
It's like, it's a slow night. Hey, there's somebody. Let's talk to him.
He's
Chit-chat.
Canadian.
What are you doing?
He's Canadian, eh?
I can't tell you what we're doing because my friend doesn't know. Anyway, so...
and let's rewind even more to the border. The border officer,
yeah.
who was asking us a whole bunch of questions.
Yeah.
You said I paint houses like you always do to the border
I
officers.
do.
And then he said, so where are you guys going?
And I said, excuse me, sir, I have to plug my ears, my friend's ears.
I had to plug my ears.
Yeah,
I
so
plugged
he
my
had
own ears.
on-hold music going on his head. Beep, 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 whatever. And
I could hear something.
And then I told him what we were doing. And then when you put your ears out, then he's like, oh, that sounds pretty lame. He was in on the joke.
Yeah.
That sounds lame.
That's horrible.
Doing your nails?
Yeah.
Terrible.
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 So fast forward back to the Bean.
I have no idea what that sound is.
We got to the Bean at like 7 a.m.
Yeah.
There was probably like 15 people there.
That was the best part about having no sleep.
And you parked on the street.
Yeah. I've never done that in Chicago. Never, ever.
It was only $45 for the street parking, but it was well worth it.
It was actually cheap. It was a couple bucks.
Oh, perfect. Why are you charging me 45?
No, it was everything added up.
Oh, we can't add everything up.
You have to add up all the gas. Yes, you can't just take one and then one.
We parked at the Bean. I got a ton of pictures of the Bean. We got a picture right in front of the Bean with nobody in it,
right, which is right here.
Unreal to get that kind of a picture. You have to get to the Bean at 7 a.m. Anybody going to Chicago? If you're going to Chicago, go at 7 a.m. to the Bean because it is worth it to go there at that time. When we went the next, like 2 days later, when we went at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it was
packed.
Just people.
Packed.
People everywhere. If you want a picture in front of the Bean, you're getting a picture with Joe, Maria,
Nancy,
Susan, Bill,
Steve,
Ryan.
And Steve's a jerk.
Matthew. And Matthew, he just always jumps into people's pictures.
Yeah. There's lots of Matthews too.
And Steve's a jerk.
No, I'm saying there's
Which
so many
Steve?
Steves. There's so many Steves. I'm saying like Steve in general.
Which Steve? There's multiple Steves.
Jones.
Jones. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I know who you're talking about.
So it was not great that we had no sleep, but there was
great.
There are some advantages in that, right? Breakfast was great, Bean was great, and we get to then
then we went to watch that waterfall place, which you also check out right by the Bean. It's the Millennium Park. It's the Crown Fountains, and it's got two virtual pictures or digital pictures of people looking at each other
and throwing up.
And what we learned later on is that they are pictures of Chicagoans.
Yeah.
Chicagoans. They are pictures of people from Chicago.
Yeah.
That
Steve and Matthew and Nancy and Phil,
Susan and Bill and Jennifer,
Bobby with his bike hike,
and these pictures are looking at each other and they look at each other for like 3 or 4 minutes, and then all of a sudden their mouths open and water sprays out of their mouths like they're spitting at each other, and then their stuff goes away and water starts falling. It's very interesting. I really thought it was cool. It was a cool little art installation in the middle of a park. Again, 2 days later we went back, unreal busy, and when we were there, the second time we were there with a buddy of ours. His name was Rob. Do you remember what Rob did? We have a video of it. Roll the clip.
Roll the clip.
Okay, you gotta send that to me.
Yeah. So this was a day later.
Yeah, the next day.
5th,
Yeah. But Rob was a funny guy. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
So we did the Crown Fountains, and then we went to Starbucks and
we went to
hung out
Starbucks,
there to charge our devices.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, we've just been in the car for 15 hours. Me and Lorraine weren't allowed to charge our devices. Tim and Tammy wouldn't let us plug our phones in.
Bring your own car.
Bring your own car if you want to charge
your devices. Sorry.
So
that's where we draw the line.
So we get to Starbucks.
No Starbucks charging for you. Well, actually, you would have Starbucks.
So we got Starbucks charging.
Yeah.
We plugged all of our devices in at Starbucks.
Yeah.
I
only cost us $12
I paid like
a drink.
$12 for a coffee there,
Yeah.
which was way too hot.
Yeah.
Way too hot.
Yeah.
Starbucks, get your act together. The coffee was way too hot. Anyway, we sat there for about an hour. We changed there.
Yeah.
You had a what'd you call it? A something bath.
I had a bath.
You had a bath, you said.
What? What? What did I have?
Yeah, and that's what you said you did, and then you rinsed the armpits in the shower or in the
bath? I said that.
You said that.
I don't think so.
You did. And so we all got ready. We got
That's
changed.
Oh, it's bad. Never heard of it, but yeah, that's what I did.
We got changed, and we didn't change. I wore the same shirt. I wore this shirt, but I put on some deodorant. I changed into shorts, and that's when we finally went to Wrigley.
We got to Wrigley.
Oh my goodness!
It was especially for the first half of the game. It was so hot. It was so humid.
Oh,
and it was like, how much water can I drink so I don't faint?
July 4th.
But the game
Wrigley Field
was awesome.
Doesn't even matter to me right now. My memory forever is July 4th, Wrigley Field. The giant flag came out during the U.S. anthem. We got to tour the entire ballpark.
Yeah.
We got shirts that we're not even wearing right now that we got there.
We can show a picture of them, right?
Yeah, we'll show the picture of them.
Are we showing it now?
We're showing it right now. It's right in front of them right now. So if you're listening, you're missing out.
They're the giveaway for that particular game. Cool shirts.
Away.
Yeah.
They were great shirts to giveaways too. And people weren't even getting them because they were hiding in a little corner.
Yeah.
And
not the entrance we were in, but another entrance.
We could have got like 5 shirts.
Yeah.
So we're already 22 minutes into the episode right now. We haven't even gotten to any of the other parts other than Chicago. So let's fast forward.
Just wait. The Cubs game was great.
Cubs game was fantastic. They won 10-2.
J.A. Happ, / Ian Happ.
Ian Happ.
Great game. Couple of dingers. One to the field that we're in. We were at the third base line.
He had 6 RBIs in that game.
Yeah, 6 RBIs. One big. It was like
he was a triple the shy of the cycle.
A couple big home runs. He should have just stopped at third.
He was a triple shy of the cycle, which is unreal.
10-2 they won. The crowd was just buzzing.
The Philly fans were upset.
Yeah, you got
shout out to Rob again for being a Philly fan.
Yeah, it was a great game. We leave there and you'd think we go back to our Airbnb because we can't. No, we don't go back to it. We don't do. That's not how we roll.
We're not sleeping today.
We're not sleeping till tonight.
Yep.
And we went on a boat tour. Tours and Boats. Shout out Tours and Boats.
Tours and Boats.
I'd taken 3 architecture cruises down the river there in the middle of Chicago, and 3 companies. And Tours and Boats was the smallest company that I've taken. They only have 2 boats. Yeah. But the tour guide was hilarious.
She talked to us a lot.
Yeah.
We interacted with her. Well, we sat close to the front.
She was a lot of fun.
We interact with everybody. Let's be honest. Yeah. Let's face it.
And
we interact with everybody.
Yeah. And it's such a beautiful way to see because you can't obviously
all the buildings
walk down the middle there.
Yeah. So we got to see all the buildings, but we found out where all the Batman things were filmed, which was fantastic. Different shots from the Batman movie. The tour was awesome. At the end of the tour, there was fireworks going off just randomly because people don't know what fireworks safety is.
There were no fireworks in Chicago, so everybody decided to light them out in the back alley. So we're driving home, and there's fireworks everywhere. John and Nancy and Paul and Peter and Steve and Matthew were all shooting
Bill
fireworks.
And Susan and Jennifer
and kids
and
at home, if you ever do that, be safe.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I can see why all these firework fails show up in my feed.
Lorraine told us a story that she shouldn't have.
Yeah, we're not going to tell that story.
We don't want to tell that story.
But so that was the architecture cruise.
Yeah.
Finally, at the end of that day, we get to sleep 41 hours later.
Yeah.
From my wake up time at 6 a.m. on Wednesday to my sleep time.
I slept like a baby. I had slept well for 2 weeks, like just terribly, and I had my best sleep in 2 weeks. And I woke up 7 hours later. Exhilarated. It's awesome. It's fantastic. So,
Day two, we get up. Not that early. We didn't have to get up early. We left around 8:30, 9 o'clock to go for breakfast. Finished up breakfast.
Back to Brothers. We went to Brothers again.
Back to Brothers for breakfast.
You find a good thing. You stick with it.
And then we go on my next surprise, which I didn't know we were doing until we were doing it. It was.
I told you the day before.
Yes, the day before. I found out everything one day prior to doing it.
Yeah.
we did a bike tour, which was a food and bike tour.
Yeah.
No beverage.
So shout out
Food and bike.
Shout
no
out to
beverage.
Bobby's Bike Hike.
Oh, they
in
gave us water.
Chicago.
That's correct.
And
Bobby's Bike Hike.
Yeah.
And Hannah.
Hannah. So we went on a
She was an amazing bike tour
3-hour
guide.
bike tour. Hannah was awesome. We talked to Rob. We talked to a bunch of other people. The group was fantastic.
We had a great group. There was a little kid in our group. He was only 8 years old,
Yep.
and he kept up with us the whole time.
Yep.
We biked through the middle of Chicago. She gave us the tour that we missed on the boat.
Tour de force. Everything on
So
the outside. We got
we
the
got
inside.
the-
that was the outside.
We got the boat tour, and then we got the bike tour, and the bike tour overlapped a little bit with the boat tour.
Yeah.
But we got to see some things we didn't get to see, like the backside of things.
Yeah.
But I think the coolest thing was that during the tour, we got to have a deep dish pizza
From Lou Malnati's.
from Lou Malnati's. We got a hot dog from, I don't know what the name of the place was. Hot dog place.
Yeah.
Willie's
I can find
Wieners.
No, it wasn't Willie's
With
Wieners.
a Chicago dog. So a Chicago dog is a Vienna beef hot dog.
I've never had a Chicago dog till then.
No?
I actually liked it. I like the inside.
Vienna beef
Don't
hot
like the
dog.
bun, but
Mustard.
Yeah.
Pickles.
is it mustard?
Yep.
Oh.
Mustard, pickles, tomatoes, and hot peppers.
Loved it.
And
Pickles,
they do
yeah.
not
Yeah,
do
it's a
not
law.
do not put ketchup on your hot dog.
That's-
Anyway, so we're doing the whole bike tour. We get everything done. The bike tour is awesome. It's like 4.5 hours. We saw the beach.
That's
We got some
3.5
great-
hours, but yeah.
We got some great scenes in terms of like pictures and videos. I wore my my spy glasses, as you call them, and I got some great video of myself riding the
And
bike.
we were the patrols at the back.
We were the rear admirals.
Yeah, rear end admirals.
You were a rear end admiral, that's for sure.
I was actually at the
You
back.
were at the very
you
back.
kept going and
Well, we had to go single file.
yeah.
One of us had to be at the back.
And because we were admirals, because if anything happened, one of us is supposed to check on the person.
And the
then
other person's supposed to go get the bike
right.
person.
And ironically, the first person that had issues was the tour guide. So
Oh,
we did
poor
that.
Hannah.
We reenacted that. One of us, are you okay? And we didn't know who to talk to because she's the person we're supposed to say.
And I was the one that actually fixed the chain.
It was very confusing.
I thought she would fix her own chain, but I actually fixed her chain. Sorry, Hannah, I don't mean to throw you under the bus.
it should have been in her
I throw
act.
you under the bike.
Yeah. Anyway, so
But Hannah did a great job on the tour. She was very knowledgeable.
yeah,
But at the end of the tour, we found out something about
she's
Hannah.
like, we were talking to her, and of course, you like to
I chat with everybody. So does
Spitzier. I'm
Lorraine.
sorry, that's a low German word. Spitzier.
Spitz-
I probably
what's
should.
that?
Spitzier is like talk, like talk to
Hmm.
people, whatever.
Like with spit?
No, it's if anyone's there, low German, shout out Spitzier. Anyway, so we were talking with her afterwards, and she's like, "Yeah,
We were saying
what
like
do you do?
what
for,
else
like,
do you
what
do
else
for
do you
work?
Because this isn't the only job. You're in Chicago. Typically,
she
people
works
have
as a
2-3
waitress.
jobs, right?
She works as a waitress at a vegan
at
restaurant.
a vegan bakery.
Yeah.
And she also does stand-up comedy.
Random.
I was like, what? Stand-up comedy? She's like, actually, I'm performing tonight in 3 hours. We're
Yeah.
like, we'll be there.
Yeah.
So we ended up going to...
It didn't take much of arm twisting
no,
for us to go to
That's
it.
cool. So
Yeah. So we go to a stand-up comedy show, and we get there super early, so we are literally front row, other than the row that's against the stage, which
Yeah.
I didn't want to be on anyway.
Yeah.
Because then you're just looking at people's crotches. We are the front row of tables, and we're looking and we're watching the comedy show. Great comedy show. There was some really funny.
the first half was
Funny
great.
people.
The second half went a little downhill.
The second half was when Hannah was on.
No, other than her, I mean, in general.
Oh,
Yeah, she
well,
was.
I think the pros were on it at the beginning,
right.
and then
Hannah did
one
great.
guy was super high.
Hannah did well. It's
And Hannah did
it's stand-up comedy. I think half the people are high.
But Hannah did really good. She was very funny. We got to see the side of a tour guide.
Yeah.
That usually you don't get to see because their regular home life is their
Yeah.
home life. But she like puts it. She actually told us, she's like, I don't tell every one of my groups, but you guys are pretty cool. So
Right. Of course
and I'm
she-
like,
and of
we
course
are
she-
pretty
Of
cool.
course, she does tell every one of her groups that.
You think so?
You took that line, and that's fine. That's good. That's good. You have that memory, but I guarantee she tells every one of her groups that.
Hi, Tim and Greg. So, I don't tell my bike tour groups that I'm a comedian for the most part. There's a couple reasons. The first reason is I started doing bike tours last year. I used to tell groups that I was a comedian, and they would make it weird usually because a lot of people would be like, "Oh, tell me a joke," like on the tour, and obviously a lot of my jokes aren't really like work appropriate. I wouldn't like that. I would just be like, come to a show later instead. And it would always be weird. And the other reason is like, I don't really want all my tour groups coming to my shows. Just because like sometimes I'm like, oh, like this is clearly not someone who would enjoy my jokes, especially on like the family friendly tours. And like, yeah, so I only really tell very select people on my tour groups, just because of those reasons. But you guys were cool, so I told you guys, and it worked out clearly. I also knew because like you guys had mentioned you had a podcast, so I was like, oh, okay, they're cool. Like they kind of get it, you know. So that's why I told you. I don't normally tell everyone though. So yeah, all right. Thank you. Bye.
She didn't tell the first half of our group that left.
You don't
She
know
only
that.
told. Yeah. She only told us.
Okay.
Everybody else had left.
She has
so
no other
half of the
so
group
she
had
told
left.
that.
The only people she told was us and Rob and Sue.
Right. Sue. Oh, good old Sue.
Good old Sue. Bless her heart dealing with Rob.
Rob's a great guy. He's awesome. Love that guy.
He's a
Anyway,
Philly fan.
so do the Bite tour. We go see comedy at
The comedy show,
venue?
Boys Town.
Boys Town. Yeah, shout out Boys Town.
Boys Town, Chicago.
Was it Improv Theater, something like that?
It was called the Laugh Factory.
The Laugh Factory in Chicago.
Yeah.
Uh,
Chi-Town.
So yeah, we went to that. It was great, and then we went
to bed.
to bed, and yeah, we were all very tired.
We got a good sleep
and
again.
oh, it was such a good sleep.
A good sleep till 6 a.m.
Yeah. No, it was.
Yeah, we got up early that day because we left at 7.
Yeah, I guess so. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we left at 7 a.m. because we had to stop at a very famous donut place. And
Stan-
if you're ever in Chicago,
Stan's Donuts been around for 10 years.
yes, sir.
It's only in Chicago, from my understanding, but they're good enough. I bet you they expand to other states.
I'm
in the
surprised
future.
that they're like. I'm surprised that nobody's put it together yet. That it's Stan's Donuts
Yeah.
and Wayne's World had Stan Mikita's Donuts,
Right.
And Stan Mikita's Donuts.
Is that really what it is? Do you think?
Well,
Are you
Stan
sure?
Mikita's Donuts was a knockoff of Tim Hortons.
Was it? Oh yeah, 'cause
Yes.
they were Canadians. Or,
Yeah,
or
it was
Mike Myers. Was
Mike
Canadian.
Myers is.
Yeah.
He made the donut place.
Yeah.
Stan Mikita's, just like we have Tim Hortons,
Right.
right? They're both hockey players
That's
that played hockey. One played for the
I need to
Blackhawks.
watch
One
that
played for
movie
the
again.
Leafs.
I just don't remember it.
I wonder if they call it Stan's.
Yeah.
We should Google and find out,
Yeah.
but we won't because of Stan
I threw my
Mikita's
phone
donuts.
over there, way over there, so it
Yeah,
doesn't get
it's.
vibrant.
I actually put it in the garbage.
Well, you do not like Samsungs, so I can see that.
Oh yeah, new Samsung. I do like Samsungs.
Oh, okay.
I just don't use them. Samsung actually has a new phone that came out, but we will not dive into that. We are 32 minutes into the show.
Phone
right now.
Rogers, check it out. The deals.
Check
Anyway,
out all the deals. Tim's
So
not a customer.
we go to Stan's. Shout out, tell us. We go to Stan's Donuts. Everyone has
A donut.
a donut.
I had 2.
I had my leftover Chicago dog
Yeah.
inside the restaurant. And Lorraine's like, "You're gonna have a Chicago dog."
You had a
at
Chicago dog at 7 in the morning.
I was like, "You're
Gross.
gonna have a donut-filled
Donut.
donut at 7 in the morning?"
And-
I digress.
And the other thing was, I ordered a coffee. I ordered an iced coffee. It was a blueberry iced coffee, which was very, very good.
Yeah.
But the funny thing was,
It was 600 milliliters.
I got the big one. The funny thing was,
Have you finished it?
yes, I
Okay.
did. I didn't actually finish it. Lorraine dumped the
Oh, yeah,
watery
yeah.
part of out at the end. But the funny thing was, by the time I got my donuts and coffee and sat down with you, you'd already finished your coffee. You are a
but
absolute.
It was 7:30.
You are an absolute unit.
It was 8
when
in
it
the
comes to
morning.
drinking
I hadn't
coffee.
drinking my coffee. I drink my coffee by 8.
You do not drink coffee.
Yeah.
You literally open your mouth and pour it down your throat,
I
and
put
then
the
you're
IV.
like, I'm done.
I put the IV in. Yeah.
Not even
Just
an
drip,
IV.
drip,
IV would
drip,
be
drip,
so
drip,
so
drip,
slow.
Drip, drip,
You-
drip, drip. How many times can I say drip?
You
drip,
look
drip,
like
drip, drip, drip.
One of the Canadians off of South Park with the floppy heads.
Yeah.
Your head flips back and you just go like that and it's gone.
Let's continue. And we drive to Dyersville, Iowa. And what's in Dyersville, Iowa?
Field of Dreams.
The Field of Dreams. Can you name me another iconic movie that you can actually spend 7 hours on location?
We were
like
there
that?
for 5.
5, yeah.
We were there for 5 hours
Yeah.
on location,
Yeah.
filming
Yeah.
Field of Dreams 2.
That's not what we were
The dream
doing.
of Greg.
Yeah, the
Greg's
Greg.
dream.
We were, and here's the 15 minutes of the footage.
We will not be showing 15 minutes of the footage. But
That was great footage, Greg.
we rolled up to the Field of Dreams, and like I was super pumped. I was very excited.
It was a Saturday, and the other thing was why we planned it this way was because
It was on the way
there
back
are
home.
Yeah, that's true. But there are 4 Saturdays in the year where the Ghost players come out and do a program. So they didn't come out of the cornfield, but they came out of the side. So they came out of their Chicago
Because
White
the
Sox
cornfield
jerseys.
wasn't high
Yeah,
enough.
so they've
yet.
been doing this for the 35 years.
We
since
played on the
show ended.
field for like an
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah.
We pitched.
Yeah.
We fielded ground balls. We took pop flies.
Frank threw 2 strikes, and I almost
threw
hit
more
the
than
catcher
2.
once.
I threw more than 2 strikes. I threw a few strikes.
Yeah.
But I thought it was amazing. Like it was just, if you like baseball, you've seen the movie Field of Dreams, you grew up with that movie, you can't help but have goosebumps.
Yeah.
When you walk up to that place.
We did the tour in the house as well, and I was able to do the voice for the lady.
You did the voice for her?
She did the
Shout out to Marjorie, or whatever her name was.
She did the whole quiz, like what was the first? What did the voice say first? What did the voice say second?
Well, I answered
What
the
did the
first
voice
one
say third? And then I
in
was,
a real voice.
yeah, and then I answered the second one in
And do it.
ease his pain, or was it go the distance?
You're doing it too loud.
Was it go the distance?
Yeah,
And she
that's
was-
what it was.
She was so impressed. She invited me back for. I'm going to be there next month.
Yeah.
For the voice, and I'm going to get royalties.
Yeah,
So,
I heard.
Yeah.
I heard that the voice has now been credited to
Yeah.
Tim
yeah,
Sanderson.
none of the other people.
And then the field was great. We got to see them. We got to get autographs. We got to watch them play a little bit of a fun little game. We played on the field. We shopped. I shopped. The girls had some drinks in the barn. It was a 5-hour day at Field of Dreams. I honestly didn't know what to expect when we
the
got
barn
there.
was a bar, by the way.
The barn was a
But
bar.
you made it sound like they went to the barn and there were cattle
the bar barn.
grazing, and they're just
They
had
had
a
a
couple of
beverage.
drinks.
Yeah, and
Milk the cow.
like when I got there, I honestly didn't know what to expect
Right.
because I had talked to some people that have been there before, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you can just throw the ball around," and like that's about it. But because it was a Saturday, it was Ghost Player Saturday. It was packed. There was a
Hot.
lot of people
It's a
from
warm day.
Little League games and everything. There's a place called Baseballism. Shout out to Baseballism. I
Yeah.
bought 2 hats after the Cubs game. So this one and another one.
You got pretty good deals for that.
I got 2 hats for like $13. And then
Start the
at Field of Dreams, I got a shirt that says where dreams are made or something like that.
not $13.
It was not $13. The shirts were they're, they're souvenirs. But
Is that code for expensive?
they're souvenirs.
Okay, that's a French word for expensive, right?
But the 5 hours that we spent there, like most people, if you're watching, listening, and you're like, oh man, 5 hours at a baseball field, what would I do there? I felt like it flew by.
Yeah.
Like-
If you have an affinity with the movie, you're gonna love it. If you
No.
don't, you're not. And that's just if you love the
Even-
movie, go.
Even if you don't have an affinity for the movie, you would still spend 2 hours there.
Oh, 2 hours.
If you like
yes.
baseball.
Well, they had a program that lasted an hour and a half.
You would have to like baseball though,
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
right?
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. And then after Field of Dreams, we left and we started driving to a little town called.
Well, first of all, we stopped. It wasn't a little town, but we stopped at McDonald's. You
Oh, I had
desperately
to.
wanted a
I
McDonald's.
hadn't eaten yet.
Yeah.
The only thing I
Well,
ate was 7 in the
ex-
morning.
Expensive food, and there wasn't much options at the Field of Dreams. It was not the Field.
No, they were out of the food that I wanted.
It was not the Dreams of food.
They were out of the food that I wanted. I should have went earlier,
Right.
Because they were out of the food that I wanted. All I had was the donuts, and then we stopped at McDonald's. Shout out to McDonald's. I don't know if we shout out big corporations or
Please
not.
don't.
Okay, we won't.
Please
But I got their $5 lunch meal. I don't know if it's a lunch meal or just a special meal, but it was a McDouble, 4 chicken nuggets, a drink, and a small fries for $5. $5. That was it.
American. So it's like 42 Canadian, but
It was $5 American. But for $5, that's a lot of food. with the drink and everything like that too. Anyway, so we're driving. I had to eat. We stopped so that I could eat that. And then we got into a little town called
Rochester, Minnesota. Not a little town, 120,000 people. So definitely not a little town at all. And we went to the Texas Roadhouse, and we had a fabulous. I always enjoy my time at Texas Roadhouse. Never had a bad experience.
A gentleman by the name of.
We met a gentleman by the name of Chef Jake.
Chef Jake.
And he was fantastic. A little bit of different kind of dark humor, kind of didn't really break a smile, but he was great. Yeah.
Yeah. You can tell he was having fun.
And it was still your birthday weekend, so you did the whole, we'll show the clip here of you riding the saddle.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Just take a second for that.
Special cowboy in our saddle. This is Greg. He turned 44. Let's give him a round of applause. Extra special on the count of 3 on your arm with your loudest, proudest exercise. Yeehaw. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, boss. That's probably my most embarrassing birthday celebration.
And getting his dessert. And
wait a minute. I want to take a second for the restaurant that we were at the night before.
What's that?
Ed DeBevick's.
Oh, right.
And a little clip of Dad yelling at you.
Okay. Yeah. Is it because they brought the hot dog in?
Yes, it was
that was hilarious. I was like,
Dad was not
I like to bring a can of pop into a restaurant and open it just to get the shock factor.
Yeah.
But this time I actually had a hot dog
and
from Chicago because she gave us an extra one. And I was like, wouldn't it be funny? Because Ed DeBevick's, if you don't know, Ed DeBevick's is a restaurant that specializes in being rude to you, but in a fun, where you're in on the joke kind of way. And I thought, wow, this would be a perfect time to bring my hot dog out and like open it. And when he comes to get my order, I have this hot dog going, and he
came right away.
He came right away. Is
Is that what you do in Canada?
That's just he's diabetic.
No, we're a restaurant. We have food.
You order food from me. What do y'all want to eat?
You bring your own food.
Well, we played the clip already.
Was my interpretation bang on? I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Anyway, so that Ed DeBevick shout out was awesome. But then fast forward again, the next night we're at Texas Roadhouse, and Chef Jake, a perfect gentleman, never tells a lie. He's like honest Abe. Everything he says is correct. And he said, we asked him whose beard was better, and he said, by far mine. Yours, he didn't have anything good to say. He thought mine was glowing, metallic, gentlemanly. He had never seen a better beard. And so shout out again to Chef Jake, who again tells the truth. Honest Abe, everything out of his mouth is honest and true. It's true. Everything I said is true.
It's not true. And everything Tim... He didn't say that. That's not what he said.
Okay, but
I'm not going to get
Cole's
into it.
notes.
Those aren't the Cole's notes. We're not giving him Cole's notes. Anyways, that's almost the end of the trip. The next day, we go to the Twins game.
Greg is like, I guess we're done our surprises.
No, I knew we had one more.
How'd you know you had one more?
Because we had the Twins game.
Yeah, but you didn't know that.
Yeah, I did.
When?
I found out the day that we were at Field of Dreams.
Well, yeah, but you didn't know it before I told you.
Yeah.
So Twins game, great game.
Twins won with a walk-off home run
by Kirby Puckett.
Not Kirby
Dan
Puckett.
Gladden?
Not
Kent
them,
Herbeck?
None of those guys.
They are retired or dead.
Yes. I can't remember the guy that got the walk-off.
I can't remember either.
Christian Vasquez.
There you go.
Walk-off! Woo! That's a walk-off.
Yep.
You got it.
Anyway.
And then went to the Cheesecake Factory where we did pick some stuff up. And then we drove home. And that's the trip.
And that was the end of the trip.
Yeah.
That is the trip. And during this entire trip.
Yeah.
So story time is over.
Yeah.
Sort of. During this entire trip, though.
So if you've just joined us and you've skipped everything, welcome back to the Greg and Tim Show. I am Tim. This is my partner in crime. Greg, good to see you.
This has been a bit of a different episode. And
yeah,
it's a bit of a different episode. If you've watched our episodes, we go a little bit weird sometimes. Yeah. And this is a little bit weird because we want to tell a story about Chicago, things to do. We're going to link all these things below so you can check them all out because we think that they were all great. Like we don't think that we made one mistake on this trip. Yeah. Well, Tim didn't make one mistake on this trip. So we're going to link them all below. So it's a different episode. We're not interviewing anybody today. We are going to get into the topic of the day in a second. But one of the things was that my parents had to watch the kids because my kids aren't old enough to stay home by themselves like you.
So before we get into that, just to close off the topic of the trip.
Yep.
2 things. Do you like being surprised? How did you feel when you were in the dark till like the day before and knew that something was happening, but you had no control over it to the day? That's the first question.
Okay? Oh, this is a 2-parter
It's
again.
a 2-parter. I won't go 3 or 4-parter, right? And the second one was, would you do the same thing? And I asked you this in the vehicle, but say it on the podcast. Would you drive straight through the night, get no sleep, because it meant getting somewhere quicker and being more efficient? Those are my 2 questions.
Okay, so I'll answer number 2 first. Yes, I would always do that.
Okay.
That would be perfect. That, like, if I was doing a trip, I would do the trip. I'd be like, hey, Tim, do you want to leave the night before instead of the night of?
Okay.
Because A, you get an extra full day.
Yeah.
You're not getting there at 2:00 in the afternoon the next day or whatever. And B, it's easier to drive at night because there's less traffic.
Right.
So I would definitely do that as long as there's enough drivers that we can switch off.
Yeah.
Your first question was, did you like being in the dark about it? I don't mind it, but at the same time I don't like it.
Right.
Because I also like to help plan things.
Right.
So if my wife's in the dark, I'm okay with that as a surprise for her.
Right.
I'm okay with it as a surprise for me.
Right.
But it is much more difficult for me to like get excited for when you don't know what you're getting excited for.
And you're famous for saying you never get excited till the day you leave.
That's
anyway,
right. It's true. Any trip that we go on, we went to Florida for our spring break trip.
Yeah.
I don't get excited for that trip until I land in Florida.
I'm excited for all the trips that I have upcoming this year.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah, I think it's because
one of them is not for 221 days.
So I grew up with a situation where we always flew standby.
Right.
So there was always an opportunity for us to not go.
Huh.
So like we went to Hawaii one time with my parents, and like there was a very good chance that only half of us would get to go and the other half would have to go the next day.
But you're still going.
We still went.
Yeah.
No, but like the next day again, we might not get to go.
Right.
Right. So there was a lot of waiting in airports and stuff like that. Yeah. So standby, because my dad worked for an airline, we flew standby a lot.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, my parents, God bless them, watched my children the entire time I was gone. Yeah. And Lorraine made sure that they had something planned for every single day.
Every single day.
They had Cruz had a birthday party. Cruz had a hockey game. They went to the football game. They went out. My mom took them out for dinner. And like every single day, it felt like, I'm like, oh, where are my kids today? Oh, they're out somewhere with my parents. So shout out to my parents for giving them such great care and taking care of my kids. Because without them, without any of our grandparents, we wouldn't be able to do these kinds of trips.
So question for you, and this is going to be our topic of the day. And that is, I have friends, I'm not going to say who they are.
Yeah.
Who, and I'm not saying this about your kids per se, has to have activities for every single day of the summer. Every single day. And I remember when I was a kid, we did not have activities every day. I might have swimming lessons for a week. I might have another week where I have DVBS or something like that.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of downtime where I would just be entertaining myself.
Yeah.
And my question that I wanted to bring up for the topic today is, are we overscheduling our kids? Do they have too many activities, specifically because we are in summer?
Yeah.
And is that stifling their brain and their activity? And as far as being creative, are we not allowing our kids to be bored? And is that a negative thing? And there are some studies that show that is exactly correct.
Yeah. So I looked up a few here and I've got them in front of me. What happens is, and this is based on studies and everything like that. So don't shoot the messenger, shoot the guy who brought up the topic.
Not really.
It'll lead, not
fireworks.
real. Yeah, fireworks. Apparently, it leads to loss of creativity. Last time I was outside, it actually, like based on studies, it actually leads to more screen time than less screen time. Less nutritious food choices because they're always on the go, so they're always having snacks as opposed to meals. It can lead to burnout, less time for free play, which I grew up with free play. Like that's what I grew up with. And increased risk of poor health because they have less time outside and more time in front of the screen. So I want to go to the screen time thing first here. So for the kids that are really scheduled, what it says is that kids that are really heavily scheduled get more screen time because they're go, 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 go. And when they get home, they don't know what to do with themselves.
Right.
So their parents go, here's the iPad.
Here's the
Go
TV.
watch some video. Here's the TV.
the
Go
shows,
watch
yeah.
Netflix, whatever. And it's actually leading to more screen time because once the kids get home, they're so exhausted.
And I would probably suggest that it's not just the kids being exhausted that wants to put the kids in front of the screen. The parents who have been taking all their kids to these things are exhausted and just have no energy, saying, here's a screen. I have no more energy.
Yeah.
I'm an Uber driver that's not getting paid.
Yeah.
And I just need to close my eyes.
Yeah. And for me growing up as a child, I always played baseball in the summer in the park just by my house.
Yeah.
We'd like 10 kids would go out there. We'd go play baseball. We'd play street hockey all summer. We'd play in the backyard. We'd set up a tent in the backyard and we'd play cards. All this kind of stuff.
I would have my friend and we would just take a couple of baseballs, go to a diamond, and pitch to each other, and we'd hit them out. And then when they were done, we'd shag them, and then we'd start again, and then it would just keep going back and forth. There's not like 9 people there. There's 2 people. Sometimes we had our third friend would come, and then we'd have an outfielder.
We played a game called Climb Tag.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Grounders is. My kids always talk about a game called Grounders.
I've heard of Grounders.
On the play structure, but we played a game called Climb Tag, and basically there's a play structure in the area, and there's always one person that's it, and the only way that you could be safe is you had to get back to this bench.
Right.
But you can only get back to the bench by going from structure to structure. You couldn't get off the structures.
Right.
So you had to follow the structures. And if you were on the slide, you could take like 2 steps to get on the next structure, but that's it.
Right.
And if the guy caught you running from structure to structure, you were out.
Right.
So like if he saw you, he's like, hey, you're out. Right. He didn't have to tag you.
Did you make up that game yourself, or was that an existing game?
I don't know.
I bet you made it up. I bet you, and that's the idea we're talking about here, when kids make up things when they are forced to be bored.
We played wall ball.
I played wall ball.
Did you?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know what made it up, but basically
it's been in existence for a while.
We had a brick wall in our school. We would throw the tennis ball against it. If the tennis ball bounced and you caught it, it was fine.
Yeah.
But if the person threw it against the wall and the person caught it in the air, that guy that threw it is out.
Yeah. Or
sometimes when we were mean, the guy that threw it would have to go against the wall. Right? And no, back, like front to the wall. So his back was to the wall. So like, we would keep playing. And then as people were getting out, their backs would go to the wall. And if they got hit with the ball, they were back in the game.
Right.
So that was like the trade-off. You get hit with the ball, you get back in the game.
Concussion and you're back in the game.
Well, it was a tennis ball.
Oh, tennis ball. There was a couple of stories of tennis balls, and shout out to Justin and Jono. Anyway, that's a story for another time.
But anyway, so like the overscheduling of kids, are the kids being overscheduled? Do you think your kids were overscheduled?
I think our kids were well balanced. We put our kids were only allowed basically one paid activity in a given year.
Okay.
So Avery was dance and vocal theater at any time of her life, one or the other.
Yeah. Was it a year-round thing or just a seasonal thing?
It was more of a seasonal thing. So, and volleyball for Raina and for Taylor. Yeah. But it was always one thing. There wasn't another paid activity.
So we're very similar, but like there's a seasonalness to it, right? So like Cruz is in hockey in the winter and soccer in the summer.
Yeah.
More so just to get them outside.
Yeah.
Right. It's not overscheduled because they only have 2 soccer games a week. Yeah. It's not like it's 7 days a week. Yeah. Hockey, on the other hand, I know some parents that live in hockey rinks all winter.
Right.
And I'm sure that their kids don't know what to do themselves when they're not at hockey. Yeah. Right. Like Cruz goes to hockey twice a week right now because he's only playing low A.
Right.
But like if he was playing higher, they're at the rink 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Right. And I can see how that can lead to burnout. That could lead to kids not eating healthy. That could lead to a lot of different things. But like, do you think parents are doing the overscheduling because of screens?
By the way, the other thing I was thinking of is it depends on what, like, it's also a socioeconomic thing. I think,
Yeah.
like a lot of the people in poorer areas, like we talked about Mike Tyson a couple of episodes ago, and he would have to get in a gym and box because if he wasn't,
he
would be getting in trouble in the community he lived in. Now, stereotypical, more wealthy families, have money at their disposal. Their kids aren't getting into trouble, and it's more of an issue of being bored.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a different issue.
Why are they getting bored now? When we grew up,
I think kids are prone to get bored because they're kids. Whether it's 1970, 1980, 1990, kids are kids. They will get bored. It's the parents' response to that. That is my question, right? If I got said I was bored in 1980, whatever, and I came from a single parent, only child household, so there's a little bit of a different scenario there. But if my kids said they were bored, I wouldn't put them in an activity. I'd say, then you're boring. Find an activity to do. Read, do something on your own. I would not, and some people would be the opposite. Some people say, well, you're bored. I guess we have to schedule a 4-week program for you.
So do you think
catering to your kids? And we talked about this in an episode a few weeks ago.
Do you think because they're bored, because they're like, there's less emphasis on reading books these days, there's more emphasis on playing games on your iPad. There's less emphasis on,
I don't think, and I could be, and I could be wrong, but I do not think that kids are getting more bored than they used to be.
If you think about this, though, if you want to play video games with your friend, how would you do it?
Now?
No, like when you were a kid.
I'm a terrible person to ask. I never played video games.
So when I wanted to play video games with my friend, I had to go to my friend's house.
Right. Yeah.
I had to walk down the street, knock on his door, and say, "Hey, do you want to play games?"
Yes.
And he would say, "Yeah, sure, let's play games."
Yeah.
We would play video games.
Yeah.
And then we'd be like, "Hey, do you want to go outside and throw the ball?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's go throw the ball. Now, kids can play video games with their friends without going to their friend's house.
Yeah.
Everything's online.
Our adult friends can play video games with their friends.
Sometimes up to 8 hours a day.
Not shouting them out.
No.
Anyway, they're working on it. But I would agree with that.
But his like statement that we talked to, he's like, the reason I don't do it anymore is because of how I felt afterwards.
Yeah. Are you saying?
But kids can't feel that yet.
Are you saying the internet is contributing to a lack of mobility and being stationary and all those things? Whereas, like you said, and I did the same thing, just not with video games. I'd knock on my buddy's door.
Yeah. So like the internet,
I can't text him anymore. I mean, I call him up on the phone, or I'd walk over, just like you.
You could call them. But the other thing too is that the internet is doing is you get guys like Mr. Beast or Preston Plays or all these different YouTubers that do these elaborate games or fun games or just like backyard games that anybody could do and play, and they make videos out of them.
Right.
And kids would rather watch them play the game than actually play the game.
Right.
So I guess I would liken it to our conversation with Kurt Keelback.
Yeah.
Kurt Keelback was on the radio. In order for us to understand hockey, we would have to listen and imagine what was going on. Now, every hockey game is on TV. Right? So you don't have to listen or imagine it anymore. And now you can watch every hockey game on TV. So your imagination has slowly become less of an imagination.
Right.
Which I think is hurting kids for making up games and playing games. Because wall ball, if you asked my kid what's wall ball, he probably wouldn't know.
No.
But if you ask a 30-year-old, somebody who's like 15 to 18 years younger than us, what wall ball is, they probably still know.
Yeah.
Right? And climb tag, if they're like the generations have gone with climb tag still, right?
No.
I think that they would still know that. But the problem is the internet and the devices and everything that is in front of people nowadays is giving them less imagination.
Right.
And they can't develop.
That's fair. I will take that point. But again, who are the people giving the kids the devices? It's the parents.
No, I understand that. And 100% it's the parents giving the kids the devices. But the level of stuff that's available to us now,
Right.
compared to when we were kids.
Oh, it's phenomenal. It's crazy.
If you wanted to watch WrestleMania,
Yeah.
when you were a kid,
Yeah.
you had to wait until
wait.
You had to wait until WrestleMania was out on VHS at your local video store.
Or you pay the $60 to watch it live.
Not even back then. We couldn't do pay-per-view back then.
Wasn't it pay-per-view? I thought it was out. Yeah, I thought it was out.
It was pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And you'd have to have like a satellite dish in order to watch it. Or you waited until it was out on VHS and then you had to go and rent it, right?
Yeah.
Now you can watch wrestling every day of the week on the Wrestling Network.
Yeah.
You can watch baseball every day of the week on the Baseball Network. You can watch the news every day of the week on the News Network.
Right.
Everything that we got in bite-sized portions, our kids have access to 24 hours a day.
So using what you're saying, and I agree with everything you're saying, it is a beneficial thing for some parents to say, hey, you know what? At some levels, we got to take a break. We got to disconnect. We need some time to slow down. And I think you need a couple of days without your screen to kind of get back to whatever. That would be a good idea from what I can understand you saying, which I would agree with.
Yep.
Right. Because it's like anything else. The internet is a tool and it can be used for awesome things and it can be used for negative things. And I think sometimes parents are responsible for, giving their kids some of these crutches.
So the original question that we asked, though, is, are we overscheduling our kids?
Yeah.
So
as a society, I'm not going to speak to specific people.
Yeah.
But I think as a society, yes, we are.
Yeah. So I guess the question still remains, though, like, if we're overscheduling our kids, what do we do differently to keep them away from things and to make them, like, the internet's going to be around.
Yeah.
And there's a thing like, for instance, like AI coming out now.
Yeah.
AI is going to make everything easier.
Right.
So back in the day, writers used to have to write.
Yeah.
Now, writers can train an AI model to write things for them.
Right.
And with that, they get less creative.
Yeah.
And with getting less creative,
and like everything else, AI again is a tool that we can use to be efficient with our time if we're doing certain things. But for other things, it can make you lazy, right? And when to use it. So I would suggest allow your kids to be flipping bored sometimes. Like some parents don't allow that. It's like as soon as their kids say they're bored,
you try to figure something out.
You try to figure something out to solve their boredom. And I if there's one thing I just want to say personally, my beliefs, and I'm not perfect in all this stuff, not even close. Allow your kids to be bored.
Yeah.
Allow that. Don't be scared of it. And don't schedule everything all of the time. Activities are awesome. Don't get me wrong. I did activities when I was a kid.
Yeah.
We were socially, economically, we were a little bit on the lower end of the scale, so we couldn't afford a lot of things. And maybe that contributed to not doing some of these things. But it turned out good. I mean, I didn't have any brothers or sisters, and I had a lot of free time.
And in all honesty, like, I grew up with, in a good home with a lot of things available to me.
Yeah.
But in the summertime, we had a babysitter. The babysitter, we walked to the beach because there was a beach down the street from us. I'd play in the park because the park was there. It was safer to go out. Let's just say that, because it isn't as safe to walk the streets as it used to be. Let's be honest with that.
Statistically, that is a bit of a misnomer. I
think emotionally for parents, it's harder to let your kids go play in the park by themselves compared to what they used to. It's just,
I think it's a mindset.
Yes,
I don't know if
100%
it's a
mindset.
It's like playing hockey in the street. Like everyone played ball hockey in the street.
Yeah.
Barely anybody does it now. You see it once in a while.
Yeah.
Because someone could get hit by a car.
But I think
someone could get hurt.
I think the main thing is because everything is becoming so quick and easy and accessible that we are getting a culture of boredom.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
I honestly think that our kids and even the generation after us right now, like the 20, like whatever it is, Generation Y, X, Y, Generation Y and Generation Z are getting very bored.
Yeah.
And the reason they're getting bored is because it takes them very little time to do anything.
Right.
So if you want to watch a show, it's on.
Yeah.
If you don't have to go, you don't have to go to Blockbuster.
Right.
You don't have to drive down the street to the movies and pick out the movie. That was an hour of your day.
Yeah.
Now it's on, right?
Yeah.
You had to get a hold of somebody, text, super easy, right? Or now it's super easy. Back in the day, to get a hold of somebody, you call them, they don't answer, you have to wait another hour or so, call them again, see if they'll answer.
Yeah, Bobby's not in right now. Call him. He might be home.
Yeah, he'll be home in an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll hang out for an hour. I'll read. I'll do whatever. And now it's like, hey, are you available? Yeah, okay, come on over. And they're over already.
Yeah.
The person is literally at your house already. And you're like, okay, let's play. Okay, now we're bored. Well, everything that used to take 2 hours to do now takes 2 minutes.
Which again has its pros, but these are the cons we're talking about, right?
But I'm talking about the cons, but the reason why I think parents are scheduling things is because it's so easy to schedule things.
Right.
Nowadays, if you want to book them into a camp, I can go on my iPad right now and find 5 camps for the next 5 weeks and schedule my kids.
So it's still a decision, right? Like you decide as a parent, you decide how scheduled your kids are. I talked to lots of parents. Like these are not all parents are not like this. I talked to lots of parents which say we are limiting our kids' options. I talked to a few people in church. They are limiting their options. That's a decision they make. You still have a choice. Whether it's easy or it's hard is irrelevant. Well, it's somewhat relevant. It makes it easier, but you still have to make the choice. I am going to put our kids into these things, or I am not.
But the parent that is putting them in less things now probably put their kids in nothing previously, right? Like that parent grew up going into nothing.
Yeah.
So now when their peers are like, oh, we put our kids into, camp, we put our kids into gymnastics camp, and we put our kids into volleyball camp. Oh, okay, well, I'll put my kid into a camp then.
Right.
Like I never grew up going to a camp. I didn't grow up going to a camp.
Yeah.
But my wife did.
Yeah.
Right? So we put our kids into a camp.
Right.
There's going to be things that pass down.
And then of course
the problem is
you want to give your kids the experiences you got to.
Yes, and the problem is you personally, you put your kids into one thing.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't go into anything. Your kids went into one thing.
I did some things.
But like you probably put your kids into more than you did. It's that whole thing of I want to give my kids a better life than I have.
Yeah, better is
better in terms of like more experiences, more stuff, right? So the person that's putting them only into 1 or 2 might have only gone into 1.
Right.
The person that's putting them into 3 or 4 might have only gone into 1.
Because as you say, it's easier to do. So if it's easier to do, you're more likely to do it.
I can find 5 camps right now to put my kids into.
Right.
If I was doing this in 1992, I would have to grab the newspaper.
Yeah.
I would have to find it. I would have to find it in the newspaper. I'd have to call that place, hope that they were there, leave a message if they weren't, or call them back and then see if there was a spot available.
Yeah. Yeah. Or mail it in. I remember mailing in your application for a camp.
It goes down to the fact that everything's so easy to do nowadays that it's easy to book your kids into everything that you want to book them into. It's the same reason why people go online to complain about a business.
Yeah.
You can go online and leave a bad review
without
for a business.
Naming your real name, without putting a real name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the day, in order to tell people about a bad business, you had to go out for coffee with your friends and tell them how bad that business is that you're having coffee at. Right? We personally just shouted out a whole bunch of people at the beginning of this episode, and we said like go to Bobby's bike hike.
Yeah.
Go to boats and tours.
Not the other thing you said.
Tours and boats.
Yeah.
Go to Wrigley Field. Go to Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
Like these are all things that we're telling you that are awesome to do.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you would have to meet somebody that did that.
Right.
Yeah. Like you'd have to go, oh, you went to Wrigley Field? How was that?
Yeah.
Now you go Wrigley Field. I could watch 25 videos right now about Wrigley Field.
And then I also infer from what you're saying is if you have less contact with other people face to face, that also hurts socialization skills too.
Yeah. And you get bored.
Yeah.
Because like as soon as I'm done watching all these Wrigley Field videos, now I'm bored.
Right.
right? Now I got to figure out something else to do.
Yeah. What did you? By the way, what did you do on long road trips?
Yep.
Because now we download movies to watch in the car on 13-hour drives,
Yep.
right? But when you were a kid, you didn't have that. What'd you do?
So we had these little magnet games.
Okay.
One was checkers, one was backgammon, I think.
Yeah.
And it would it was like that big.
Yeah.
Like that big. And it would open up and the magnet pieces would be on the
yeah,
inside.
I know exactly. What
And
you're
then we
doing.
would play on those.
Yeah.
We had Game Boys.
Yeah.
Like I grew up in the generation that had a Game Boy. So when I did a lot of long road trips with my grandparents.
Yeah.
So like we had a Game Boy. We played cards.
Yeah.
Because we were in a motorhome, so we played cards.
That's the other thing that does not happen as much when I was a kid. When you were a kid, big station wagons, you went on long road trips. I talked to some parents who are like, oh, I would never take my kids 14 hours away. We have to stop like 3 hours away in Fargo. Our kids can't take it.
See, my kids loved the road trip we did last year.
Right.
When we went to Texas, the kids loved it.
Right.
And in the backseat, yeah, they would watch movies,
Yeah.
but they would also talk. Oh,
Right.
what's that?
Yeah.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah.
And they would look out the windows because their iPads would essentially die.
Yeah.
They would not last the 8-hour trip. They
Yeah.
would only last like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then they would die and they would have to talk to us.
I remember playing I Spy. We have the alphabet game. My wife and I play the
Punch
alphabet
Bucky game.
Where all the signs, whoever can get from A to Z the fastest wins.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so
Also, all the people from Chicago White Sox sign for the Ghost players.
Field of
signed my
Dreams,
hat.
Ghost
My Cubs
players
hats.
all
My
signed
conservative hat.
your conservative
So
hat.
anyway, just sorry, I digress off the topic.
No, it's
but
fine.
maybe out there, if you want to have your opinions and let us know, do you think that parents are overscheduling your kid?
Yeah.
Either in the whole year, in the summers? Why is that? If you agree, disagree, give us your opinions. Talk back to us. We'd love to hear people's opinions and get some conversation going.
Yeah, send us your comments below. Comment if you're on Spotify. There's a what you thought about the episode. You can make comments in there. On YouTube, you can comment below. If you are watching a clip on Instagram, leave a comment on the clip. We want the comments because the comments help us to create conversation and help us to think about other topics that are coming up. We have another interview coming up next week, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. The last two interviews, if you had not had a chance to catch them, were fantastic.
Very polarizing.
Yeah. So 2 weeks ago, we had Doug Brown, formerly of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. A fantastic, fun interview with him. And then we had another awesome interview this past Monday with Zach Fontaine, who's the senior pastor of our church.
Yep.
And just both interviews, amazing.
They're both a lot of
have
fun.
to check it out. If you have not had a chance to watch any of our interviews, they've all been fantastic.
So there
Please do
is an
that.
interview playlist on our YouTube channel. So click on the playlists and you'll see the interview playlist. Also, we got new interviews coming up. The Doug Brown one was really good. We talked to Doug Brown about the Bombers not winning. They won last week. I messaged Doug Brown and I said, hey, did you have a hot dog before the game?
Yeah.
And he said, yep. I had one hot dog before the game, and so did Derek, and we won.
And-
I said, so next week, this week coming up, which we're already past it by the time this airs, but I hope he has 2 hot dogs, so it's not as close of a game.
And it doesn't matter. Win is a win. But if you don't know what we're talking about, I'm not going to tell you what it was. You have to go back. You
Watch
have
the
to
Doug
watch
Brown
it.
episode.
Fantastic interview. And like, share, subscribe. We love our new subscribers.
Yep. Thank you for subscribing.
And any matter of fact that you want to comment on, whether it's this interview, that interview, please do so. We love our comments, like I say.
Yeah, and below is all the links to everything we've talked about today. We had some great people that we talked to during our trip, and we'd love to share some of their stuff and shout them out. So
Shout them out.
yeah, let's click on their links. Tell them Greg and Tim sent you, and you will get a thank you.
You get a note of appreciation.
Click on the link though, and tell like Hannah's link below. Message her and say, "Hey, Greg and Tim sent me here. You have some great stuff.
Tours and boats.
Tours and boats.
Yeah.
Click on the link,
Brothers.
and message them and say, "Hey, Greg and Tim sent me here." Brothers. What's the other one? Bobby's bike hike. Field of Dreams. We will link all this stuff below. Tell them Greg and Tim from the Greg and Tim Show sent you. We wore these shirts, and people asked what the Greg and Tim Show were, and we told them.
Yeah. Number of subscribers. And by number, I think 1.
Thanks, Rob.
Love you, Rob.
You have a great day. Thanks for watching, and we appreciate you. And we'll see you next week, Tim.
Chattanooga.
Chattanooga.
Thanks for watching the Greg and Tim Show podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your friends. Sharing is caring.